Good morning, Facebook Live. It's Vanessa here again, motivational speaker and head coach at Live, Love, Give. And today's message is a really passionate one from me. It's one that, it really makes me passionate. It makes me motivated. It gets me angry. It really does sort of unleash some of my emotions when I get onto this subject, because it's near and dear to my heart, and it's an experience that I've had personally and many times in my life. And also I witness so many people that I love around me struggle with this. So awesome to have you, Anyeta and Alavera-san. Awesome. Thanks for joining me. So it's all about stop selling yourself out for safety and security. I'm so sick of seeing this. What disappoints me most is when we hold ourselves back out of our own fears, when we're trying to gain that certainty in those external sources, we're trying to stay in those mediocre comfort zones, and we're not challenging ourselves to step up to be our best, because we need that safety, we need that security, we need that certainty. And just wanted to say hi to you guys who have joined me today. I love it. Shooter, awesome to have you. My friend Hassani, nice to have you. And Jamal and Dora and Jeremy, yay. And Shane and Hikam and awesome. Awesome to have you guys, because like I said, this is a powerful message that I want so many of you to understand and get. And I want to challenge your perspective today in terms of where is it in your life where you're selling out? You're selling out your truth because you're attached so much to that safety and security that you have in your life. And I want to ask you, is that in your relationships? Are you in a relationship right now where it feels really safe and secure, but deep down you're not fulfilled? Do you think that maybe it's in your career path? Is there a part of you? I've met so many of you out there. You've got this calling, you've got this drive within you, you've got this passion and this purpose, but you're letting your fears around, staying safe and staying secure hold you back from ultimately experiencing and living your calling. In these relationships, I'm getting these messages from you guys where you feel so trapped in your relationships. Like you don't even actually really have much safety and security in the relationship. It's more like comfort. It's more like the known. It's like so many of us, we would rather deal with the known, no matter how uncomfortable that is, rather than venturing out into the unknown to actually get attached to something that we're deeply yearning for. And that's what I'm really wanting to talk to you guys to. Again, I just want to scroll through. I love saying hi to you guys. Belinda, nice to have you. And Brian, awesome to have you back from Chicago. I'm glad this time of day works for you guys. And Anne, my favorite woman in the world at the moment, thank you for joining me again. And Belinda, I'm so grateful that this is a great message for you guys. And Raphael, thank you. And awesome, Brian. I love that this is resonating with you guys, because it's something near and dear to my heart. And that's ultimately the reason why I do what I do. Ultimately, I came from a place where I was so trapped in my own fears that I wasn't breaking free. I wasn't even tapping into who I really was or what I really wanted. And it was leading me down a truly unfulfilling path. And it was trapping me and stopping me from my ability to build deep and meaningful, real relationships and friendships in my life. And what my breakthrough in terms of those areas, has been completely revolutionary in my life. And there is nothing more freeing than breaking free of your need for safety and security and going for it, listening to that deeper part of you and just going for it, and that's been my experience. And it's why I'm so passionate about reaching out to you guys in hope that this message will resonate with you, and it does set you on that journey of questioning yourself, questioning your current reality, questioning your current results and how you feel about them, and tapping into the truth of what you know and who you are, and unleashing yourself, the true self, onto the world. So that's awesome. And Hyungul, thank you for joining me again. Awesome to have you guys. And I want you to ask yourself, so say if you're one of those people out there who you're recognizing that you are you're selling yourself out, you're selling your truth out for a relationship in your life. And, you know, some of us feel we're so noble, you know, we're staying in that relationship, we're trying to make it work and all of this stuff out of those fears, out of, you know, the unknown. It's too scary, I don't have a better option right now, or whatever it is. And I want you guys to ask yourself, could somebody else love your partner better than you? And then I want you to see how selfish it is for you to stay in a relationship where you're just attached to your safety and your security. And you're not doing anybody any favors by staying in that relationship. I challenge you to move out of it. And I'm passionate about this because so many of us have this belief that relationships are meant to last a lifetime. And we have this fear if we break up, if we end it, it's a big failure. And I'm somebody who truly does believe that everything in our life happens for a reason and a purpose that serves us. And I personally do not have a single regret about any relationship or friendship or anything that hasn't lasted the test of time, because I know that I've gone back to my past and found purpose in it. And that's what I challenge you guys to do. If you're somebody who is trapped in that fearful mentality of not wanting to make a change out of fear of failure, out of fear of like losing that security and that certainty, and I want you to find those pain points in your past that have helped you get to that limiting belief that are trapping you. I want you to go back to that pain. I want you to find the purpose, because there is always purpose. And when we find the lesson, we no longer see ourselves as failures. We no longer see our results in our past as a failure. And we're able to move forward knowing that we always learn the lesson, we always grow. And this is the greatest opportunity for you to learn that lesson, to grow, to break through your limitations of staying small because of your safety and your security, and trust in your future. Trust that, you know, by doing that scary thing that you know deep down is the right thing to do, but you haven't had the courage to do it, by doing it, you start generating the courage you need in order to reach higher levels of your potential in life. And I hope that this is resonating with you guys. Just want to say a quick hi. Hassani, every day I get a little white. I'm so thankful for you, Hassani. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and meet you, and so grateful for you. And Stefan, thank you. Bonjour. And Louis, thank you for joining me. And Ahmed and Cameron and Manu and Ari and Ali. There is lots of reasons why relationships fall apart. People who are born in this system won't be able to identify them. Yep. Okay. So, so Ali, there's definitely many reasons why relationships fall apart. And, you know, I really believe that, you know, as we are growing and evolving individuals, and I know you guys wouldn't be listening to a video like this if you weren't somebody who valued your own personal growth. And my experience in relationship is sometimes we meet the right person at the right time, and they're the person for us in that current part of our journey. But what is absolute key, and I think the number one thing that you need to have in relationship in order to see more success, is an alignment with that person. A real alignment. You're on the same path. You believe in the same things, you know, and that is what's most valuable. But also, if you want it to stand the test of time, you got to make a commitment to staying in alignment as long as it is truthful to both of you, and never ever selling yourself out for any relationship, for any fear. You've always got to remain true to who you are. And if somebody else does that too, they're on that same path, they're having that same growth, and they're on that journey, and you guys are expanding one another, you know, helping and supporting and encouraging and challenging the best out of each other, then that's the kind of relationship that will stand a longer test of time. And ultimately it comes down to your intention rather than your expectation, because so many of us get into relationship, get married, whatever it is, and we have this expectation that that relationship is to stand the test of time and last the lifetime, rather than focusing on being intentional about how we show up each and every day to ensure that happens. So thanks for your comments, Ali. I hope that was helpful. Awesome that you're enjoying this, Dora. Thank you. And Kristen, thank you for joining me. Shane, yes, your words seem to come at the right time. Always so cool. Thank you so much, Shane. I appreciate you. So glad that this resonates. And Raymond, nice of you to join. And yes, thank you, Dora. Brian, awesome. Don't settle out of fear. So true, Dora. Some of us, though, you know, we look at our relationship, or we look at the job or career path that we're in, or wherever we're staying sort of small, and we know it deep down, but we're not necessarily admitting it to ourselves. You know, we're settling because we've attached ourselves and our identity to a future with that thing. And we haven't taken the time to create a more compelling future, something that we're really called to, and identifying and making a decision as to whether that person, that relationship, that career, that job, whatever it is actually what we're called to move forward to in terms of our compelling future. So, you know, we settle out of fear, but we can ultimately overcome our fears when we start identifying them, and ultimately we start creating a compelling future from our truth that allows us to be pulled through the challenges. You know, not like trying to push to something that we kind of don't know and we're not really called to, but ultimately something awesome that we're so inspired by, that we've given ourselves time to tap into that truth and identify, and then we're pulled through the challenge. So, you know, it's a great way to get out of that fear is when we ultimately create a compelling future and we move toward it. Because when you get really attached to something that means something to you, suddenly something's more meaningful and compelling to you than staying small in those fears. The voices from your future, from something that inspires and encourages you, is way more, you know, it's way louder, you know, than those fears, those niggling little fears, and the voice of those fears. So I hope that made sense, and I hope that was valuable to you. Thank you, Belinda. Grateful that this is resonating. And so I want to reinforce that message to you guys. You know, a great quote by one of my all-time greatest mentors, Tony Robbins, is, you know, that there is no such thing as failure. There's only results. So I want you to take that with you in terms of really identifying where you're playing small, where you're selling yourself out, where you're not being truthfully who you really are, and operating in the realm of what you really want. And I want you to see, you know, you making the changes, you building that courage to take a step forward in the right direction. You're only going to win. You know, there is no such thing as failure. You're either going to get exactly what you want, or you're going to learn another lesson that's going to help you toward that path. So I really hope that has helped you and resonated with you. And Kristen, hi Vanessa, this is so true. You've got to find your soul purpose. It takes digging, but when you find it, you'll be flowing rather than pushing. So true. And, you know, thank you so much for sharing your perspective, Kristen. I really, really appreciate that. And also, you know, something I want to mention, because you bring up that, you know, that purpose. Sometimes we get so stuck within ourselves, and you'll hear me mention this time and time again, about having this singular purpose. And it makes us stay in this safety and security zone that we know is not fulfilling to us. You know, when I made a shift out of that unfulfilling career path and becoming a lawyer, you know, I had absolutely zero idea as to what I was going to do at that point. All I knew was that I knew what I didn't want. And I was so committed to not going down that path any further, because I knew the pain and I knew how it was coming up for me. I knew the damage that it was creating. I just needed to know what I didn't want at that point in order to start that journey towards uncovering what that purpose is, uncovering what I was inspired to, uncovering what my calling was. And ultimately, I also believe that as we grow and evolve as individuals, so too does our purpose in life. So please do not get stuck and you know, allow that to be an excuse for you to stay in your safety and security because you haven't got the answer as to yet what your purpose in life is. Get out there, make the changes. Sometimes it resonates and comes clearer to us what we don't want before we really get clear on what we do want. So awesome. Thank you for your comments, Kristen. Appreciate that so much. And hi, Robbie. Thank you for joining me. And Matthew, cracking quote, live life on your own watch. It is a cracking quote. Thank you for sharing that, Matthew. I love that. Definitely. Live it on your own watch, live from your core. Stop selling yourself out to the expectations of everybody else and what you think people want from you, and start getting attached to what you want. And like Matthew's saying, living life on your own watch. Get off other people's watches. They don't matter. If you don't fill up your life and your time with the things that matter most to you, guaranteed your time will be filled up with other people's priorities, with other people's values, and you'll get to the end of your life and you'll live with so much regret. You'll have so many regrets that you reflect back on in that moment. And I want nothing more for you than to have that realization now, when you can do something about it and build that courage. The number one regret of the dying is that I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than one I felt was expected of me. And that ultimately, I remind myself of that every single day, because it's the number one thing I am most grateful for discovering at such an early age, and not at the end of my life when I couldn't do any more about it and I was filled with regrets and all of this expression of myself that I never got out there. So awesome. Thank you guys for engaging. Jeremy, awesome that this is spot on for you. I love having you here. Thanks for joining me live. And guys, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? Are there things in your life right now that you're feeling like ultimately you're settling? Maybe you're selling yourself out. Is it in your job? Is it in your relationship? At the moment, are you not looking after your health? Are you just selling yourself out to Netflix and crap food? And deep down that there's more of this life to live. You might be engaged in a lot of busy work, but a lot of not so meaningful work. Whatever it is, I challenge you to think into that, to really question yourself today about where you're selling yourself out because you know it, because it's safe, because you've been here for a while, because you've got that cushy job that, on the outside, people think, oh, wow, like what a great job. Oh, you've got so much money. Oh, you're living the life. But ultimately, deep down, you don't have that fulfillment that is calling to you. And so I challenge you guys to think about that. If anything's coming up for you now, hit me in the comments here. I'd love to have a quick conversation with you guys. And John, don't sell out ever. So many of us, we sell out our truth. And why I always love to talk into relationship here is because ultimately so many of us have hearts of gold. We have such pure intention. We just want to love and be loved, but we're selling ourselves out because of safety and security, rather than going for the gold, going for the highest heights and the deepest depths of the love and everything that we can experience. Lose the rules, lose the expectations, and have that freedom to be fully self-expressive and go for the best, shoot for the stars, and definitely get attached to what calls you emotionally. That is the only way you're going to find that fulfillment in your life and create a truly meaningful life. And Hassani, I love that. I must live a life true to myself. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Awesome. Yes, definitely. I can't stress enough the power of living a life true to yourself. Life doesn't begin until you start tapping into that truth. So no matter what age, no matter where you are right now, I challenge you to identify what's your truth. And a really great question is, what would I do if what my decision didn't affect anybody else? Because I know so many of you out there get limited because you're such loving people. I get that, and I love that about you. But ultimately, that's what I used to do. I used to sell myself out for the happiness of others at the expense of my own. And I'm saying, there is so much pure joy to be gained and fulfillment from being able to make others happier, but it is not your sole responsibility to make others happy at the expense of your own truth. And that's where that comes into play as well. And Ian, thank you for joining me. A life of surface is a life lived. So, so true. And it's that old age thing that we talk about, you know, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on before you can truly serve another. So, you know, definitely, I totally agree that life is about contribution. Life is about serving others. Life is about making a meaningful difference, whether that's in your family life, in your community, to the world, whatever it is. But life is all about that. I totally agree, Ian. But yeah, my challenge to you guys is to make sure that you're putting your own oxygen mask on and not selling yourself out, because you're only selling the people in your life out as well, because they're not getting to the depths of who you are either, because you're not. So thank you for your comments there. And thank you so much, Dora. I'm so grateful that you're loving these talks. And thank you, Brian. I'm truly grateful that this is resonating with you. I absolutely appreciate you guys so, so much. You know, throughout my life and throughout my own personal growth journey, sometimes, you know, you lose people along the path. Sometimes, you know, what you learn about and what you become passionate about and tapping into the truth of who you are, sometimes that no longer resonates with the people in your life, and you know, you end up moving on. And what I'm finding with connecting with you guys out there is that I'm tapping into more of you awesome, amazing people out there who I can tell we're so like-minded. I can tell we're on the same page in this journey, and I appreciate it so much, more than my words can really express. So thank you so much, guys. I do really love getting to connect with you. I hope you guys are taking me up more on those power sessions. I've been meeting, oh my God, so many of you brilliant people from all these crazy little little parts of the globe, and it excites me, it energizes me. I love it. So I love learning more about you and what you're struggling with and helping you in any way that I can. So definitely jump on those power sessions. And Brian, but what if our decisions do affect others like our children? The risk seems greater once you have come to the realization you trapped yourself and you might be a little older. Awesome, Brian. What I would challenge you to do is, you know, so many people have this struggle, you know, in terms of, well, I have children, you know, how can I make that change to do what my calling is, or operate from my truth when, you know, I've got people relying on me, and I get that, and it's a really noble way of thinking. But what I would say to you, Brian, is I really believe that the greatest gift that you can give any child or any person that you are the role model for is the gift of you showing that you can be true to yourself and not sell out. Never sell out your truth, never sell your happiness out for others, because ultimately those people in your life, they want you to show them the way, particularly your children. Show them what a magnificent relationship with yourself looks like, how you can both honor yourself and honor others, and ultimately how when you honor yourself, you are honoring the people in your life that you love most, because ultimately, you know, you're training them how to treat you, you're training them how to treat themselves, and there is no greater gift than you can give to another. And, you know, in terms of age, Brian, throw the age out the window. You know, when I made that decision, you know, to leave law school, at that point in time, what was holding me up, my safety and security, was, you know, ultimately, oh, I'm too old to make this change. I have to finish what I started. I have to continue this path because I felt it was expected of me. It didn't come from my truth whatsoever. And ultimately, I was only 24 years old at that point and felt too old. And this woman in the room stood up, and she was on my same path. You know, the short version of the story, she stood up, she was 65 years old. She'd gone through the same questions and process I'd just been going through and battling within myself, where I'm having all these limiting beliefs. I'm too old to make a change. She was 65. She was a lawyer, hugely successful, had 3 divorces. Her children didn't speak to her. She had a terrible existence at that point. Her experience of life was just work, 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 and no real connection or love or any of her values that she really wanted. And ultimately, she woke up in that room at age 65 and said, I am so grateful because I am so young to have made this discovery of my truth right now, because I've got the rest of my life to live and experience, and there is nothing better than that. So Brian, I hope that helped. I hope that resonated with you. Thank you so much for sharing your comments. And Manolo, thank you for joining. John, when you start your journey, you need to start to take a moment for yourself. It's okay to be slightly selfish. You can't help anyone if you don't look after yourself first. So true. And I actually think, you know what? You're selfish if you don't look after your own backyard. You are selfish if you don't live your truth and identify who you are and what you want. You're being selfish to the people around you because you're not able to love to the depths that you are capable of, because you're not attaching to your truth. And that's the only way that you can really serve and really to the highest heights of your capacity. You can't do that unless you are looking after yourself. And you know, that to me is selflessness, is looking after your own relationship with self so that you can show up to the best of your ability in those relationships. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. And Matthew, nice to have you. Thank you, Shane. I'm glad this is resonating. And Manolo, thank you so much. And Chris, and yeah, Brian, I really appreciate that. Needed this today. Hope all is well there. Thank you so much, Brian. That makes my day to know that this has resonated. It's been of value to you. So I fully appreciate that. And yes, Dora, yeah, thank you for your comments. Thank you for everything, guys. Again, I could probably spend my entire day on these Facebook Lives. So I'm always trying to be a bit more conscious about how much I go off and how passionate I get. And so, yeah, I'll probably tie it off. But you guys have been awesome. If you have any last question or comments, I'll hit it up quickly. But otherwise, I'm just going to start wrapping this up for another day. And thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chris. I absolutely love you guys. I appreciate you all so much, like I always say. And if you guys have any questions, comments, ideas for topics, yesterday I spoke into, you know, talking a little bit into the personality psychology that I'm really passionate about. And I wouldn't mind maybe seeing if you guys are interested in learning a bit more about that, because yeah, ultimately I think it's just such a valuable tool for self-awareness and personal growth. So let me know in the comments if that's something that's interesting to you. And Brett, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Dora. Appreciate you very, very much. And I'll sign off and send all of my love, light, gratitude, positive energy to you guys. And definitely hit me up in the comments about any of your suggestions, any of your feedback, any ways that you feel I could add more value to your lives. I'd love to hear it. And definitely, if you haven't already, make sure that you come and meet me, you know, come and book in one of these 15-minute power sessions with me. I'd love to meet you. It energizes me so much. So definitely hit me up with that. And I will see you guys all tomorrow.